Hi folks, my name's John Chambers and I'm in the process of setting up a podcast. It's a new venture and I'm kind of learning on the go here. I'm not sure how it will develop or if it will develop at all. That depends on how much I enjoy doing it and if I get anyone else interested in it. Obviously, I don't want to talk to myself, do I? Wouldn't be the first time, mind you. Having said that, I mean, the purpose of the pod is just to share some stories and memories from my childhood, my crazy childhood. For those that don't know me, I was born and bred in Loyalist Belfast and brought up during the worst years of the Troubles. And I've written a book about my experience called The Belfast Child. And basically, the theme of the book is just telling what life is like through the eyes of a child growing up in that environment and the trials and tribulations that we all suffered, and also the search for my missing Catholic mother. I'd been told was dead when I was a child. It's only much later that I learned that she was actually alive. I've probably given too much of my story away already. I mean, despite the subject matter, the book, although it does deal with the Troubles and a lot of the major events that happened through the Troubles, it also deals with some of my crazy adventures and situations I got myself involved in along the way. Anyway, there were lots of stories that I couldn't actually fit into the first book. I was restricted to, I think it was 78,000 words. So there was quite a few stories that didn't get put in the book that I would have liked to have been in there. This is one of those stories. It actually involves me, my younger brother David, a haircut, my wee granny Chambers, and a 78-year-old half-blind, half-deaf Jewish barber, should I say retired Jewish barber from Silverstream, which was just, well, it was actually Ballyselling. We used to walk over Harmony to get our hair cut by him. At the time, I was living in Glencairn. Because my dad was working here and there, my mum had disappeared. My wee granny Chambers, she played a pivotal role in looking after us. She was like a mother to me and my three siblings. I mean, back then, we were living in a council estate, you know, and life was hard, not just for us, but, you know, the kids all over Northern Ireland, especially in Belfast. The ghettos of Belfast and Londonderry, you know, poverty was rift and despair, and families didn't have a lot of money, you know, and there wasn't a lot of work at the time. So a lot of people suffered. I made my wee granny's life a living nightmare. I drove her to distraction, so I did. I was forever in trouble, even though I was a little Christian boy. And I went to church and prayed every night. There was a little demon inside me that just was restless all the time. Could never settle unless I was causing some mischief or mayhem. I mean, this particular incident happened around, I think it was 75, 74. My dad was still alive at the time, and I was about 8 or 9, so I was. This kind of happened on the tails of two recent shameful events in my life. Firstly, I'd been caught shoplifting in the local VG. The local Reverend Lewis, he was very heavily involved in the local community. I got caught shoplifting. He was sent for, and when he came over, I was sobbing my heart out, and I didn't know what to tell him. He said, "I can't believe this, John Chambers, you shoplifting? Don't you listen to anything that we tell you in Sunday school?" I was ashamed of myself, and he said, "Why are you doing it?" And I turned around and I said, "Because I'm hungry." And he looked at me, and I could see pity flicker across his eyes, his eyebrows. And then he kind of looked at me a little harder and said, "So you're saying your granny's not feeding you?" And I said, "No, she's not. There's no food in the house." But the minute I said it, I thought, fuck me, I know what's going to happen now. And right enough, he said, "Well, I think we better take a walk up the road and visit your granny, don't you?" And it was the longest walk of my life, up from the Spar, up to my granny's house at the top of Glencairn in the close. And needless to say, when he brought me home and he told her that I was stealing food because I was hungry and starving and there was no food in the house. Well, put it this way, the minute he left, I got kicked all around the room. I mean, my granny, her generation, you know, not kicked, I mean, slapped around the room. Her generation, you know, they were formidable Belfast women, but they grew up in hard times, and they had an old-fashioned attitude towards discipline, and she'd give you a clip round the ear if you were bad or misbehaving. Which unfortunately for her, I was all the time. I was never ever out of trouble. Another time, in school we used to get tickets. If you got free dinners, you got a blue ticket. and for those families that paid, they got a green ticket. And we used to have to queue up outside the office every day to get the tickets before dinner. One day, I had to deliver something to the office or something, and whilst I was doing it, I was in the office, and the receptionist or secretary, she was handing out the tickets. You know, you've got dozens of screaming, yelling kids hanging in the window while she's handing out the tickets. I glanced over and I seen a pile of green dinner tickets on the side. I thought, God, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So I slipped them into my pocket, so I did. And I thought I got played away with it, but as I was walking, turning to leave the room, she grabbed me by the collar. She says, "What do you think you're doing?" And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" And she goes, "Them tickets in your pocket." And she caught me red-handed, and I was mortified. But it was only afterwards that I found out she was actually a part-time police officer, and she took crime and punishment very seriously. And obviously, she could see through a chancer like me, so. I was marched to the headmaster's office. I can't remember his name, but he was a right old bastard, so he was. And back then, we used to get punished properly in school. It was either the cane, the slipper, or a belt. And normally he would have given me the belt or the slipper, but I don't know. Maybe he was busy that day and he didn't have time. I think he actually enjoyed beating kids up with fucking belts and slippers, but that's another story. And anyway, yeah, so I got detention and I was sent home with a letter, deliver a letter to give to my granny Chambers, explaining the sorry episode in great detail. And yeah, I think I was grounded for a week after that. But that was some of the more innocent situations I got myself involved in. But back to the haircut. Yeah, I mean, money was tight, and Granny used to send us down to Woodville to get our haircut. There was one just down from the park near the VG. I can't remember what you called it, but my dad used to bring me down there too, and I used to love it. And the guys were all really friendly and that. And I always got short back and sides, typical haircut of the day for kids, you know what I mean? I remember I used to love going down with my dad because we'd always go into the bakery down there, and then he'd take me into Woodville Park if it was a summer's day. I always remember one year Mickey Marley's roundabout was in the park, and had a ride on it. He was a grumpy old bastard then. But I always, you get vivid memories. It's like a photograph in my mind, walking towards the park and holding my dad's hand and then seeing Mickey Marley. Um, but what actually happened, my granny had this old friend called Isaac. He lived over in Silverstream, and he'd retired. I think he'd been in hospital or something. I mean, my granny and him had been friends forever, so they had. But whatever happened, he decided to make himself available, cutting hairs again. And while the shops on the Shankill were probably charging £4 or £5 back then, he was only charged like 50p. Needless to say, my granny thought, I'll have some of this, I'll save some money. I'll send him over to Harmony to get the haircut, and Isaac can do it. This old boy, honest to God, he was about 78, he was half blind, he was deaf, and he smelled, but that's another matter. But he was very enthusiastic, and we started going over to get our hair cut. Unfortunately, enthusiasm didn't equate to anything respectable, and we looked like freaking plucked chickens by the time he finished with us half the time. We'd be cutting your hair and you'd put the scissors down, and then he'd forget where the scissors were, and you'd have to help him find the scissors and all that. But anyway, one day we went over and he wasn't there. There was a sweet shop right near where he lived, and I had this money for his haircut, burning a hole in my pocket, and I didn't have any other money. And I used to love the Kula Cubes and the peanuts, them hard peanut ones, and they had these sweets, and they were in the window, and they were calling me. So I said to David, I know what we'll do. I'll cut your hair, you cut my hair, and we'll keep the money. So we thought, what brilliant idea that, you know what I mean? So we sneaked home, got a pair of scissors, went into the park and cut each other's hair. Then we got home. You might have seen this. We were like plucked chickens. It was a mess. But the thing is, Isaac was that bad at barbers that my granny couldn't tell the difference. You know what I mean? So she's just, oh, your hair's lovely. Come and have your dinner. This that, and the other. I was like, yes, got away with it. Got a new money stream. And from then on, whenever she sent us over to Isaac's, we'd walk over Harmony and head straight for the sweet shop. And then after that, we'd go into the park and cut each other's hair and head home. And that went well for quite a few months. And then one day, we went in the park, had loads of sweets and all that. Granny had sent us over to get our haircut. And we got home, and it was supper time, so we were all sat down having a dinner. My granny had just got a phone back then, and she was funny on the phone. You'd thought she was just speaking to the person in front of her. She just couldn't get her head around it. But anyway, we were all sat down having our dinner, and the phone rang, and my granny went out, and she was on the phone for ages. And then I'm thinking, oh, well, that's weird. There's a lot of whispering, this, that, and the other going on. And then she came back and sat at the table, and she looked at me and she goes, "Do you know who that was?" And I says, "No." And she goes, "That was Isaac's wife." And I went, "Oh, what did she want?" And she goes, "Oh, she just wanted to tell me he died last night." Fucking hell. There's me caught red-handed again, sent to my room, and once again, I'm in the doghouse. Well, that's it, my first pod. Please be gentle with me. It's a learning curve for me, and I've got the first one out of the way. It's not great. It might be the last one. It depends on how it goes. But thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Take care. Thank you. Bye.